evening. I now call to order the regular town board meeting for the town of Arundequoit, December 18th, 2018. Visitors are invited to join board members in rising to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Hush LeRae. Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Seeley.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting. Happy holidays to all in town and beyond. We have a modest agenda tonight. We also have two public hearings that will take place at starting at 7:35. One of them involves a proposed town law regarding our management of trees. The other was regarding a connection to the consolidated sewer district. We also will have public input very likely before that. If you're interested in addressing the board on any issues, please sign into the sheet by the door, or of course you can address us without signing in. We just get first preference. If you want to address the board members on any of the two public hearings, the sign-in sheets are there as well. Before we get to our regular body of work, I have a couple announcements. A lot of good stuff going on in town. First was to start off the unofficial kickoff of the holiday season. We had our annual tree lighting and menorah lighting ceremony on December 2nd. It's a very well-attended event by the people in town. It's growing every year. We had probably 200 or 300 people attend both the events inside the library and the lighting outside. So I just want to thank all those who attended, thank our wonderful staff for putting that on. Last Wednesday, to shift to public policy, I joined colleagues in government from Pittsford, both the town and village, and Brighton town to announce a memorandum of understanding between our municipalities, which will actually be up for adoption tonight by the board, which will allow us to move forward with a process known as community choice aggregation for the town of Arundequoit. In August, if you recall, the town board adopted a law authorizing a CCA program in Arundequoit. As I said before, public information is key. I'll just reiterate in its most basic form, CCA allows a government or a collection of governments to procure a default energy supply on behalf of their residents and small businesses. In most cases, this collective buying power provides for a lower, more stable cost of energy and also allows for greater utilization of 100% renewable energy. The state recently authorized a CCA for statewide implementation and has embraced it as a way to increase demand for clean energy. All of our municipalities signing on were committed to 100% renewable. As I commonly say, this would be the default supply. Any ratepayer can opt out free of charge if they wish. We're doing this after really inspired by a 2016 pilot program in Westchester County known as Westchester Power. Most communities participated in that, selected a 100% green supply. The success of that program in its first 2 years was remarkable, really, saving upwards of $15 million for ratepayers and really paved the way for a CCA program. So that's a lot of information. We'll continue public engagement. Our next step is to select through a joint procurement process an administrator, which we will commence in the new year, and then hopefully make the decision if we want to move forward. But I'll reiterate, I think this is very promising for residents. I think this is a good opportunity for us to really reaffirm our stake as a leader in clean and renewable energy, and I'm very optimistic this could result in lower cost of energy. All right. In addition to our efforts to study a CCA program, the town is proud of its continued efforts to demonstrate leadership on clean energy. This week, crews across the parking lot began the process of installing solar panels atop our public safety building. This is made possible through a Clean Energy Community Grant from NYSERDA, the state of New York. We're proud that Arundequoit was one of the first towns or communities in upstate to become certified in that program. As a result, we have a $250,000 grant from the state of New York to implement clean energy projects. The first phase of that will be the installation of the solar panels on the public safety building. The second phase will be solar panels atop our DPW garage, which is in construction. Ultimately, this will save our taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars annually through energy costs. So we're very excited to implement that. I've spoken at past board meetings about the Beards for Bucks campaign. Last week, we had the fellows from OK Barbershop shaving the beards of all of our town staff and police department members, Chief Tantillo as well. Looking at the room, we had Jason Vanette, Don Sinton, the entire back row minus Carrie Ivers, obviously, participated. We raised, all considered, $5,000 for 1330 Cancer Connects, which is a really great group that works with adolescents and young adults and their families battling cancer. So we're very happy to do that. All things considered, and I think Nate just showed my beard shaving in process. I was very proud of my effort. But all considered, we were part of an effort that's raised, I believe, upwards of $70,000 of that organization locally, for that organization locally. In the theme of OK Barbershop, I just have to point out that last Wednesday, we don't do this often, but I joined Deputy Supervisor Perticone, Commissioner Kiley, Deputy Associate Governor Esposito, and Judge Janier as well, to present a proclamation to Tony Tremonto, Tony the Barber at OK Barbershop, declaring it Tony Tremonto Day in the town of Arundequoit. Tony, after 50 years of operating OK Barbershop, is retiring. I said at that time, we have a supervisor in Arundequoit who works at Town Hall. We have a mayor who works at OK Barbershop, and we'll miss Tony. He really is a terrific person, so we felt it necessary to give him some adulation on the way out. Recently, we had 2 ribbon cuttings to celebrate business openings in Arundequoit along Ridge Road. Perfect Impression Document Services, located at 1164 Ridge Road, just across the street from the former Staples. It provides many of the same printing services that you could have found at Staples. It may or may not be owned and operated by the former manager of the Staples. So a nice story. I know folks were sad to see that Staples go, but really a nice story of small business opening across the street. So we wish them luck. And also WellNow Urgent Care, located at the corner of Portland and Ridge, opened up as well last week to add to our community's healthcare options. I want to thank all the residents, town employees, and first responders, as well as the Arundequoit Police Department for their leadership, particularly the Police Department Chief Tantillo in collecting toys through the Willow Domestic Violence Center Purple Box campaign. This helps provide a lot of joy to some children and families who live in a lot of trauma and are served by Willow. You'll see in the video the collection of toys. It really was a nice effort, and our police department did a very good job in leading that. Past Sunday, I think Arundequoit, the community, put its best foot forward in support of one of our former police officers and a longtime resident, Hector Figueroa, who is battling a rare skin illness. I'll let Chief, I don't know if I'm allowed to announce the total amount, but the amount that was raised on behalf of Hector and to support his family really was astronomical and says a lot about just our community, and we wish Hector the best. But it was a very nice event. I want to commend particularly Chief Tantillo, who I know put a lot of time in organizing that. As I said to Chief, Hector was lucky to have him as a boss, but I'm more lucky to have him as a friend. So it was a very nice demonstration by our community. Our police, again, they're doing a good job this month. Last Saturday, Shop with a Cop occurred at the Arundequoit Target. It's a great initiative. The men and women of the police department, our community police volunteers. It allows many children to have a happy holiday season as they get to shop with a police officer and have a gift card as they go through Target. It's the 3rd year in a row I've been asked on that Saturday why there's heavy police presence at the Arundequoit Target, and I'm happy to provide a good explanation for the heavy police presence. So kudos to everyone involved with that. I'm going to give an update about our skating rink because I've been getting a lot of questions. You can blame the odd weather we had in fall and early winter, and then fall again, and then winter. Our oak trees are not shedding their leaves, and it's causing us to withhold from really putting the water down because you don't want leaves, and it really doesn't. It's not optimal. So we're trying to work our way around that. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, we will have skating outside of Town Hall. But we thank residents for their patience. In that vein, the 5th annual Winterfest will take place on the Town Hall campus Saturday, January 26th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a free event. It's a fun event. It's one of the few towns that does something like this, and I show you it's cool to be cold. We hope you'll bring family, friends. for things like the ice skating rink, weather permitting, an a cappella performance by the Yellow Jackets from U of R featuring guest soloists Councilman Pete Wayner and Deputy Supervisor John Perticone. A lot of other great things as well. We have so many terrific sponsors, so we're always happy to put that on, and our recreation department does a great job. I'm very long-winded, but we're almost done. A lot of good stuff happening. This year has proven to be a very dynamic year for our school districts in Arundecoit. We have the pending retirements of Sue Allen from East Arundecoit and Jeff Crane from West Arundecoit. They've been a pleasure to work with. They've served the people of the town well. They've helped solidify one of our town's strengths that are being our quality educational systems in a town that has affordable housing. So I think I join my board members in wishing them a very happy retirement and express gratitude for their service. Town Hall will be closed Monday, December 24th and Tuesday, December 25th, Christmas, as well as January 1st, 2019. And finally, as we do every month in our workshop meeting last week, we recognized a member of our staff at Town Hall in our town organization this month. Chris Brett received our Staff Spotlight Award. Chris works for our Department of Public Works. In addition to working for the department, also is an expert on GIS and mapping. So he works really with every department in town and does a fantastic job in helping us with that. It's a good service, and Chris is terrific at what he does. So kudos to Mr. Brett. And that is all I have. Not much going on, but with that, we can move on to public input. Thank you, Mr. Sinton. We only have one person signed up for public input. If you did not sign up, you're welcome to come to the board, come before the board after our one speaker has addressed the board. We ask you to keep your remarks between 3 to 5 minutes. We ask you if you have bags or any items to leave them at the chair right in back of you, not to bring them up to the podium with you. With that, I will call William Beanie, 291 Rock Beach Road.
My name is Bill Beanie. The topic is the Arundecoit Police Department. No matter how well-meaning, no matter how sincere, no matter how conscientious, if police officers are 4'11" and weigh 140 pounds, they do not present a uniform personal image which inspires confidence from residents when such officers respond to a call for help. You see, when on road patrol, any officer could respond to any call from the dispatcher's office. And so, the police are not hired to give banquet speeches or to mix and mingle at charity events or just be at softball games as pals. Oh, gee. Or as social workers. Oh, they're hired for legitimate police work at a cost to the town budget. Now, it's common knowledge that Arundecoit police officers take the Monroe County Sheriff's exam for placement here in Arundecoit. So, we can petition the Monroe County Legislature to continue the process of consolidating town policing under the administration of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office with a minimum height requirement for town police, as well as dedicated town road patrol police. This will save our town money through eliminating police positions. Then we will have more money available in the budget for a socially productive town government which does not hinder the community spirit in Arundecoit. Thank you. Good night.
Would anybody else like to address the board? Yes. And just remind people, address the board. If you have remarks, don't make them to other people in the audience.
Thank you. I'm Susan Demina, 100 Meadowcroft Road. I take great offense to his remarks, board members.
So again, you can speak
I'm
speak
addressing
outward, but don't address other remarks made. That's our
Oh.
preference.
Okay.
You can speak in
I'm
support of a
410,
town
and
department
I feel
if you
that
wish.
if I passed all the exams, physical and other, if I wanted to be a police officer, I should be able to be one at 410. I have no desire to be one. But I'm just,
Thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to address the board? With that, I'll take a motion to close public hearing. Motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public input is closed. We will now move on to our financial report. Madam Comptroller.
Thank you. The 2018 financial results as of November 30th. 91.7% of the year has elapsed, and the town's total expenses are lower than budget at 84.8%, a sum of $29,368,000. Encumbrances are $822,000, and actual expenses total $28,546,000. The actual expenses alone equate only to 82.5% of budget. The encumbrances remain sizable. Departments are yet committed to services, supplies, and commodities that are needed for the remainder of the year. The general fund expenses are below budget at 83.4%, $17,295,000. The actual expenditures are 81% of budget, $16,807,000. The other 2.4% is due to $488,000 of encumbrances. Overall, the expenses in the highway funds are $4,845,000, 86.6% of budget, and that's below the percent of the year that has elapsed. The cost in these funds result from considerable encumbrances and expenses for salt, gas, and fuel as anticipated. The library expenditures are favorable at 87.2% of budget, a year-to-date total of $2,013,000. Expenses in the sewer fund of $3,448,000 are below budget at 84%. Included in the month was approximately $220,000 of debt service for bond payments. The stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 82.4% of budget, a total of $650,000. Debt service for bond payments within the drainage fund were approximately $215,000 during the month. The general fund has received revenue of $20,130,000, 99.2% of budget. Real estate tax of $10.8 million has been collected. 102.6% of the payment in lieu of tax revenue of $172,000 has been received. The town has recorded 8 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of $3,074,000, 71.1% of budget. That amount is $240,000 greater than last year at this time. The town has also received 100% of per capita state aid of $613,000, 50% or $376,000 of franchise cable TV revenue, and the mortgage tax for the first quarter of $133,000. The recreation program fees of $323,000 are favorable to budget at 99.5%. Included in other sources of revenue are 3 significant 2018 one-time revenue items. $1.7 million of fire insurance recovery for extra expenses incurred by the town as a result of the DPW garage fire. Medley Center's settlement proceeds of $450,000 and $238,000 of settlement costs associated with Comida and the Target and Holiday Inn properties. This amount includes an additional $20,000 received in November. Without the one-time revenue items that I just mentioned, the general fund would be at 87.4% of budget. Regarding the entire town, $33.7 million or 99.1% of revenue and appropriated fund balance has been documented to date. Without the aforementioned $2,388,000 of one-time general fund revenues, the town would be at 92.1% of budget. And that's greater than the 91.7% of the year that has elapsed. At month end, the library has confirmed revenue of $2,295,000, 99.4% of that revenue budget. 98.4% of, or $5,432,000 of revenue has been recorded by the highway funds. 100.5% of the sewer fund, or $4,103,000 has been verified as revenue. Stormwater drainage has received 100.1% of its budgeted revenue, $764,000. This concludes my financial report for the month of November 2018.
Thanks, Annie. And as we talked about in workshop, revenue picture is looking good. Hopefully, that sales, we're already above budget really for revenue with some of the settlements and extraordinary revenue that's come in, but sales tax, we hope will exceed our projected revenue. It's been a good year on that end, so things are looking good, and we are, 12 days left in the year, so just crossing our fingers. I'll take a motion to accept the financial report.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is accepted. Madam Clerk, approval of minutes, please.
Approval of minutes, November 8, 2018, special town board meeting, public hearing.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk.
November 13, 2018, the workshop meeting.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Romeo. Questions or comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
November 13, 2018, the special town board meeting.
Motion.
Moved.
Thank you. A second.
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk.
November 20th, 2018, the regular town board meeting.
Motion.
Moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wayner. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Romeo. Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Revenue is adopted. The minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, we can now move on to item for board action number 3 under community development.
Item number 3, authorizing the adoption of the 2019 Arundecoit Conservation Board meeting schedule.
Can I have a motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 4, calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting a special use permit for 1465 North Winton Road in a C Business District.
Motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Ms. Ivers, explanation, please.
Thank you, Supervisor. This application is for a special use permit associated with the conversion of existing vacant office building in a C business zoning district to convert it to a 9-unit apartment building. So this is essentially an application that asks for the town board's consideration of the special use. It's a permitted use in the district. It requires this extra level of review prior to it going to site plan review through the planning board.
What triggers the review, Carrie?
It's honestly, it's the classification of the use in our zoning code under C business. So some uses are allowed by right, others require an extra or careful look and permission from this board. And so the resolution before you will refer this to the planning board for their comment on the use proposed for the building. It will set the public hearing date with this board for next month.
Thank you. And this is the former Empire State College?
That is
site,
correct.
Arlington? Okay, very good. Any questions or comments? Again, this hearing would take place next month at the regular town board meeting, January 15th at 7:35 p.m., I believe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to the redevelopment of the former Arundequoit Mall, 285 Medley Center Parkway.
Motion.
Moved.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, explanation, please.
Thank you. So the application before you, this is the planning board actually received its first application for site plan review of related to facade improvements at this location or as part of the Skyview redevelopment. In looking at the seeker requirements, we determined that the project or the action is actually a little bit larger than that. In that, we need to look at the redevelopment of the former mall, the known components at this time, the Restore New York funding, the building permits that would be issued in excess of renovating over 100,000 square feet of interior space. The consideration of the fact that part of the redevelopment will include potentially a Town of Arundequoit Community Center. And so with that, it was determined that a coordinated review was needed under seeker. The town board expressed its intent to serve as lead agency. The planning board consented to that, and so did the New York State agency, the Empire State Development Corp. That would have been the other agency that had a discretionary decision to make. So with that, the review and analysis was undertaken to consider the potential impacts of the project or the action as defined in the Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, along with the narrative. As we discussed at last week's board meeting, after considering the potential impacts, it's been determined that the former use as a mall, there aren't any new uses or new activities proposed within the action that's under review that would increase or cause any larger impacts than have been previously experienced on the site. Maybe perhaps the largest or most concerning issue that we looked at was the potential for traffic. However, the traffic analysis provided by the applicant's engineer indicates that while there might be a slight increase in peak travel time in the morning, overall, the traffic impact associated with the redevelopment of the former mall is consistent with its prior use as a large retail center. And so the other thing to keep in mind is that there is support and positive impact associated with the action in that redevelopment will allow for increased efficiency in the building operations as equipment is updated. It will also provide opportunities for enhanced landscaping and regreening areas that are currently impervious surfaces as time goes on. And so for that reason, we're recommending a negative declaration for the purposes of seeker.
Thanks. And I note that in Section A of your Part 1, the proposed actions that are warrant the seeker in this case are facade improvements, and correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, facade improvements to the north and south entrances, parking lot improvements, remodeling of interior tenant spaces, including the construction of firewalls, roof replacement, as well as the construction of a 40,000 square foot community center. Is that correct?
That is correct, and as part of the renovations, it should be noted that a lot of their building systems, HVAC kinds of systems, would also be updated and or replaced as needed.
Gotcha. Very good. And just one other question. This does not encompass the former Sears, which I believe has already gone through seeker.
So this seeker analysis actually considers that and includes it as part of the comprehensive look at the project, because that project was reviewed prior to the application being received by the town for the facade improvement. In other words, when Pathstone came before the town, there were no other sort of actions triggering a bigger look at for seeker. So that review was done, and then this review, it considered those potential impacts as well. So looked at the cumulative impacts of redevelopment at the site.
And forgive me, for members of the public and the board, that was referencing the proposed senior housing conversion of the former Sears. Any other questions, comments? Okay, exciting, good momentum. Hopefully we can continue moving forward here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number
3 ayes and 1 abstention from Mr. Weiner. Thank you, Peter.
Item number 6, pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to the acquisition of vacant land located on Wall Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll introduce the next two resolutions if I can. The first is the State Environmental Quality Review for the acquisition of a piece of property on Wall Road, and the second would authorize the supervisor to enter and execute any documents necessary to acquire said piece of property. A resident of the town has offered to donate a 0.19 acre parcel, a piece of real property located on Wall Road with a tax ID number of 09210-4-37, with the intent to see that parcel be created into a neighborhood park. This property is relatively flat and located along the north side of Wall Road, just east of 52 Wall. The vacant property is located within a neighborhood that is underserved with a playground. The town has many neighborhood pocket park, and those parks tend to serve as a gathering place for neighborhood children and families. One might say that's where our community grows. And this neighborhood, while it does have Densmore School just adjacent there with open fields, it does not have a playground, a standard playground unit, which you would see a 2 to 5 year old or a 5 to 12 year old playground unit installed. The lot is currently grassed with small shrubs and several trees. The installation of a playground would require several trees and shrubs to be removed with the intent to install that playground. However, it should be noted that the town intends on replanting several trees on the property once the playground unit is installed. Minor earthwork disturbance would occur, and that would be revegetated at the completion of the project. The playground would have a wood mulch bedding to it consistent with all of our other playgrounds, and ultimately would not have a negative impact on any stormwater runoff. And as such, with regard to the first resolution, all of the facts that I've stated before the board, we would recommend that this action does not pose a significant adverse impact to the environment.
Thanks, Bob. So in summary, a resident has been kind enough to offer us land. We've determined that land could be suitable for a playground in an underserved neighborhood. We have the finances to construct a playground, and as Mr. Colley just said, there is no adverse environmental impact to doing so. Any questions on the first resolution? Very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 7, authorizing the acquisition of the donation of vacant land located on Wall Road.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Again, this is exciting. We always like adding to our amenities for our residents, and look forward to, after acquisition, creating a nice little pocket park and playground. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 8, calling for a public
Madam
hearing.
Clerk, can we, this next resolution probably would take a few minutes, so
Okay.
I think we can now, I didn't mean to interrupt, we can now move on to public hearing in about, 10 seconds. Everyone can get up and stretch if they want. This is me assuming the time on my iPhone is accurate.
7:34.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Public hearing number 1 on the matter of amending Chapter 214 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to tree contractors and becoming a tree city, USA.
Motion to open the public hearing,
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is open. Mr. Kiley, would you give an explanation of the proposed law in chief?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The public hearing that is being called and opened this evening relates to the adoption of new regulations governing the town of Arundecoit specific to Chapter 214 of the Town Code. The town has a long-standing dedication to maintaining a healthy tree canopy throughout the town. With recent history, the town has been subject to a variety of different invasive species. The emerald ash borer is the most notable as of late, in addition to significant adverse weather conditions that have impacted the work required to maintain the healthy trees throughout our town. The proposed legislation solidifies the town's dedication to a tree canopy by taking steps to become a Tree City USA, a nationally recognized certification awarded to municipalities who take steps to maintain and improve a tree canopy throughout their municipality. This legislation would designate the Conservation Board as the Tree Advisory Board, working in concert with the Department of Public Works, reviewing tree species to be planted within town rights of ways and on town properties, in addition to a variety of other capacities. In addition, this legislation also requires commercial tree service companies who perform work in the town to register with the Department of Public Works. Registration of these vendors is proposed to discourage vendors from illegally dumping woody debris within the town rights of way. As many homeowners are aware, residents can perform work on their properties, and as a service, the Department of Public Works will collect that woody debris curbside, processing it in accordance with state regulations. More and more frequently, the department has observed commercial tree service vendors illicitly dumping and disposing of woody debris curbside in an effort to have the town dispose of that at the taxpayer expense. This legislation would require commercial tree professionals performing trimming, maintenance, and cutting to remove and dispose of the woody debris from the job site within the town. The certified tree service vendor list would be published and posted on the town website, which will allow residents to easily maneuver to a vendor that is in good standing with the town, that is registered, and has the applicable insurances.
And Bob, what other types of services do we require registration with DPW?
Our trash haulers, so any rubbish collection, we license them in the department. And I will note that several other municipalities here in Monroe County also register or have a tree service vendor register with the Department of Public Works, most notably Greece and Brighton.
So in this case, a commercial a tree service company, we're talking, a large amount of woody debris left curbside. It's not, the typical brush a resident might leave by trimming a.
It's relatively easily to see which type of material is cut by a contractor. Many homeowners don't have that type of equipment within their garage to make the size of the cuts that we tend to see, the rounds, 24 inches at a round. You're not going to make that with your steel chainsaw in your garage. That's going to be a tree service vendor, professionals.
Any other questions for Mr. Kiley before we open it up for public hearing?
Well, I just want to make one comment. I just think also, too, I think it's a good resource for the residents of the town. I mean, they can get a hold of us, right, or you, and just, if you have any recommendations, Bob, of
Absolutely.
reputable,
You know,
which is good. It's a good resource.
in March of 2017, we had the catastrophic windstorm here in town, and many residents were calling Town Hall looking for vendors. And it's during those disasters when you tend to see more fly-by-night contractors come in, gouging prices just to drum up work. This would be a resource, this list, which would be published right on the website, would be a resource during that emergency. So residents can see what vendors are legitimate, have that insurance, general liability insurance, which would be required to be registered. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, good. Because obviously the fly-by-nights aren't insured, so you're really taking a risk at that, especially if you have an issue where it's close to your house or whatever. It can cause damage if it's cut wrong or whatever. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we didn't have anyone signed up to speak at the public hearing. However, if anyone wishes to do so, you may come forward now. Of course. And please just state your name and address, even though I already know it.
Hello, I'm Deb Murator, and I live at 420 Bayview. I just want to applaud the board for moving forward with this effort. I think it's awesome, and all the people that are kind of working behind the scenes to help bring this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board? With that, I'll take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
And a second. If you are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, item 12PH-1A, please.
Pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act with respect to the amendment of Chapter 214 of the Code of the Town of Arundequoit relating to tree contractors and becoming a Tree City USA.
Motion
Moved.
and a second.
Second.
Mr. Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The proposed law is one of many steps that the town to become a Tree City USA, which has a great environmental benefit to residents of Arundequoit. The town commitment to maintaining a healthy tree canopy has numerous environmental benefits, mitigating stormwater runoff from impervious areas, lowering the impact of carbon monoxide and other tailpipe emissions from vehicles, reducing air temperatures in neighborhoods with overhead tree canopies. In addition, trees lower the sunlight infiltration in the summer, protecting people from UV radiation, as well as lowering the energy usage in homes, typically and upwards of 15%. The commitment to a healthy tree canopy also encourages vehicles to travel at safer speeds, as well as protect pedestrians on sidewalks by providing a barrier between pedestrians and vehicles traveling. The proposed law also will regulate the commercial tree contractors with oversight within the Department of Public Works. That licensing of the tree vendors would be maintained, and that qualified professionals list would be posted on the website. With the proposed legislation, we find that there are no adverse impacts to the environment.
I would certainly hope not. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item 1B, adopting a local law to amend Chapter 214 of the Code of the Town of Arundequoit relating to tree contractors and becoming a Tree City USA.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
I just want to thank Commissioner Kiley, also from his staff, Aaron McGee, who worked hard on this. This isn't really just a symbolic gesture, this Tree City USA. I think it really affirms our commitment. I joke that the week before the windstorm of 2017, my weekly column was celebrating how many trees we had in town and how we love them, and I tempted fate a little bit, but even with our challenges, it remains one of our strongest attributes and selling points for this community, and we certainly want to maintain that, both from a quality of life point of view, but also providing character to our community, and also, as Mr. Kiley said, the impact, the positive impact to the environment, which is really a negative impact to the environment, but in this case, it's also a positive impact. So with that, I'm just very happy we're moving forward. Any questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk,
Public hearing number 2 on the matter of approving the extension of the Consolidated Sewer District to include 909 Titus Avenue.
motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
That was to let's start again. Motion to open the public hearing.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is open. Mr. Kiley, brief explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This public hearing would allow the property located at 909 Titus Avenue to permanently connect into the Consolidated Sewer District. At a previous board meeting, we allowed this property to temporarily connect into the Consolidated Sewer District pending the public hearing. So if this public hearing and the board so chooses, this property would be permanently allowed to enter into the Consolidated Sewer abandoning their septic system.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Would any members of the public wish to address the board on this matter? Seeing or hearing none, I'll take a motion to close public hearing. And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, 2A, please.
Approving the extension of the Consolidated Sewer District to include 909 Titus Avenue.
Motion? Moved. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Public hearing having been held tonight, this would authorize and approve the extension of the Consolidated Sewer District to include 909 Titus Avenue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, we can now move back to item for board action number 8.
All right. Calling for a public hearing authorizing improvements to the Town of Arundequoit Consolidated Sewer District.
Motion? Moved. A second.
Second.
Mr. Kiley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution calls for a public hearing to be held at next month's town board meeting regarding the Consolidated Sewer District and several improvements that we seek to make within the Consolidated Sewer District during next year's construction season. Most notably, there are two projects that we intend to first reconstruct the sanitary sewer main and laterals on Washington Avenue from Lakeshore Boulevard north to, from Rock Beach Road north to St. Paul Boulevard. That road has been suffering from collapses and obstructions within the main, causing many different sinkholes within the road. If anyone's driven down Washington in that neck of the woods, you've certainly seen that. So first we seek to fix that by rebuilding the main. Second phase of this project would be to install a new pump station at the List Avenue pump station located on List Avenue there just across a kitty corner to the district offices. And finally, another component of this would be to various laterals and mains collapse time to time. They are either damaged, destroyed, disjointed, or just do not pass enough flow. We would have funds available to us to improve and reconstruct any main or lateral throughout the town. Typically, we reconstruct anywhere between 20 to 40 mains or laterals per year, and this resolution would put forth that public hearing to be held next month for these improvements. A map plan report pursuant to Section 202B of Town Law has been provided, and the Town Board did receive that. The Town Clerk did receive that as well. That was prepared by the Town Engineer, Labella Associates. The total project cost for these improvements is estimated at $900,000, and it is listed within our capital improvement plan for 2019.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for your work on this as well. Any questions for the commissioner? I have none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 9, authorizing the supervisor to enter into various contracts with vendors for senior recreational programming for 2019.
Motion. Moved. And a second. Mr. Sinton, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This allows you to enter into contracts with various vendors for our upcoming senior recreational programming for the winter and spring season. I will note that the contracts were available at the recent board workshop for board review.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, authorizing the supervisor to enter into various contracts with vendors for youth and family programming for winter-spring 2019.
Motion. Moved. And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pertico. Mr. Sinton, explanation, please.
Similar to the last one, Mr. Supervisor, this allows you to enter into contracts with various vendors for youth and family programming for upcoming winter and spring season. And again, the contracts were available for the board to review at the last workshop.
Thank you. I encourage the residents to look at our winter-spring activity guide, which is now out, bigger than it's ever been. Plenty of great stuff for families and residents, young and old. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 11, authorizing the capital improvement program for the town of Arundequoit for 2019 through 2024.
Motion.
Moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Weiner. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Romeo. Madam Comptroller, explanation, please.
This resolution puts forth the capital improvement program for 2019 through 2024. The town establishes an annual multi-plan capital improvement program. The capital improvement program for 2019 through 2024 was presented to the town board at the workshop. The document is a plan, is subject to change at any time. It does not provide financing for the projects. However, the financing for each project is required to be authorized by the town board in separate resolutions. In this plan for the year 2019, we are looking at 5 projects that basically total $1,320,000. Three of those projects have been designated to be bonded, $1,170,000. The Commissioner Kiley explained 2 of the programs that are being called for a public hearing. Those 2 programs are part of this, and the remaining programs are Commissioner Kiley can probably speak to those a lot better than I can.
Thank you, Comptroller Seeley. So just to walk through the town board, we do have 5 projects, as Comptroller Seeley said. 2 of those projects I've already spoken about, and that would be the Washington Avenue and the List Avenue projects that we referenced with calling the public hearing just previous to this resolution. Again, that public hearing will be held next month. So the other 3 projects, 2 of which are going to be self-funded, so the town will utilize a general fund balance to execute and implement those projects. The first of which will be wiring upgrades here at Town Hall, and the second of which will be wiring upgrades at the Public Safety Building. Both projects seek to upgrade the infrastructure here at Town Hall to allow and pave the way for a new phone system to be installed. The cabling, the actual physical cabling throughout the Town Hall and Public Safety Building is old and is not capable of supporting the correct designation for new voice over internet phone systems that we are looking at. And as such, the cabling needs to be upgraded to Cat 5 or Cat 6A cabling throughout both facilities. So those 2 projects are denoted within the plan for 2019, both of which will be funded through our general fund balance reserves. The third project would be the stabilization of Newport Road. Newport going from East Ridge Road all the way south to the cul-de-sac there at the end, all the way north to the cul-de-sac there at the end. Over the past several years, the Department of Public Works has been reviewing and witnessing, watching, and monitoring the embankment on Newport Road. The road surface has slowly settled, and as such, we need to act to implement a plan to make safe the road surface. Current road surface is safe, passable, as many motorists use it today, but long-term, we find it prudent to utilize a specific vendor, which I'll talk about in a second, to stabilize that road surface to ensure it does not slough. The slope could move and shift as trees tend to die of old age and new ones grow, but this plan to stabilize the road surface on Newport would seek to inject concrete nails. It's a vendor which has done work here in the town of Arundecoit previously on Kings Highway for the County of Monroe Department of Transportation, injecting and installing concrete nails underneath the road surface and then installing shotcrete over the top of that. Really the effort here is to ensure that the road, the sub-base of the road itself does not shift and move. And this construction methodology is the most prudent, most cost-effective way to secure the road long-term. And so we put forth that resolution to be bonded and those funds to be bonded for implementation next year.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions or comments? Newport Road project is important. We have about a dozen residences on Mooring Line. We have the potential for more residential development down hills. It's really critical we get to that this year, correct?
Correct, sir. That's the only access to those homes, so if the road was to fail, we would have first responders, both police and fire would have a difficult time reaching those properties, thus the critical need here.
Very good. Any questions or comments on the resolution in chief? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 12, authorizing the town to undertake the reconstruction and stabilization of Newport Road in the town, stating the maximum estimated cost thereof is $270,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of up to $270,000 in serial bonds of the town to finance said appropriation.
Thank you. We have a motion
Moved.
and a second?
Second?
Thanks. I'll explain, and Annie can fill in any voids I leave. This would, Bob spoke about our capital improvement plan. This would be one project which we would seek to finance through the issuance of bonds, authorizing upwards of $270,000. It would be subject to an estoppel period and permissive referendum. And I will let Annie fill in any voids. She's shaking her head. Any questions? Any questions? Oh, great job. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 13, authorizing the hiring of a constituent services coordinator.
Motion. Moved. And a second.
Second.
Mr. Vanette, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Due to a vacancy in the constituent services role, we have a need to hire somebody, but there is no list. It is a competitive civil service title, so we want to appoint somebody provisionally, and that person will have to take the next civil service test and score in the top 3.
Thank you. This resolution would seek to fill a void currently in this position. Patrick Pinkerton, who served as our Director of Constituent Services Coordinator, has gone over to the Building Department to help Ms. Ivers, and in working to ensure that we have adequate and for top-notch constituent services. It's my pleasure to recommend to the board for hiring of James Nasso. Mr. Nasso, it's hard to find anyone more qualified for this position, given he, for the past several years, has served as the Director of Constituent Services for one of the most senior members of the state legislature and done so very well. I know he'll come into this role and utilize an already broad knowledge base on multiple layers of government, but also bring a very strong work ethic. So I'm very happy to recommend this resolution to the board. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Mr. Nasso, please stand up and wave to the adoring audience. Madam Clerk.
Item number 14, authorizing the supervisor to extend a contract for information technology support services.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second?
Thank you. This resolution put forth by Mr. Stone, Director of Information Services, would reauthorize and continue a contract with Fusion Digital LLC for information technology support services. The contract's termination date at present is December 31st, 2018, and may be extended up for 2 additional one-year terms. Fusion has done a very nice job. They have really, I think, enhanced our information services and our IT. My department heads are nodding in the back, and I think our staff has noticed that as well. So I think this has been a good model we've instituted, and I want to continue it. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, declaring old computers and related equipment to be surplus property and authorizing its sale or disposal.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second?
Thank you. Plainly, this would allow Mr. Stone downstairs to get rid of the large inventory of highly antiquated, outdated technology that we have down there and clear out space in our basement. Doing so requires board authorization. Do I have any questions or comments?
Quick comment.
Yes.
Just so that everyone knows, we're not disposing of anything, we're recycling it.
Yes, interesting word, dispose. Is that pursuant to state law?
It is.
It is, so perhaps we can recommend an update to the state law. But thank you, it's very good to note. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 16, authorizing the purchase of two 2019 Dodge Charger police all-wheel drive vehicles and the associated budget transfers.
Motion.
Moved?
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief Tantillo, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before you will authorize the purchase of two police fleet vehicles, Dodge Chargers. These were put out to bid in accordance with New York State law, and the responsible bidder is Genesee Valley Ford and Motors. These vehicles are being purchased as a result of two total loss situations with motor vehicle accidents with our officers. Neither one of the officers were at fault with these accidents. Other motorists had pulled out in front of them, and it was an unavoidable accident situation. So utilizing the insurance recoveries that we were able to achieve, as well as some budget transfer funds associated with our fuel line, we'll be able to make this purchase and adequately, if you will, deploy our resources with our police fleet.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, reappointing a zoning board of appeals chairman.
Motion.
Moved?
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would reappoint James Hinman to serve as chairman of the Arundecoit Zoning Board of Appeals. I believe he was appointed chair in 2007, and it's been a very long tenured and done a very good service to the people of Arundecoit, and we are happy that he's willing to serve another 2-year term as the board's chair, term that would expire December 31st, 2020. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 18, reappointing a planning board member.
Motion.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would reappoint Michael Eveland to a 7-year term to the Town Planning Board, which would expire December 31st, 2025. Mike has served a few years now on the Planning Board. He's a very thoughtful member, brings a good professional knowledge as well, and very happy and thank him for his willingness to serve on the board for 7 years. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 19, reappointing a member to the town zoning board of appeals.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. This would seek to reappoint J. Russell Thomas to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2025. Mr. Thomas is also known as the maestro around town, as the conductor of the Arundecoit Orchestra. In addition to his musical talents, he is a very good judge on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we're very happy he is willing to serve another 7 years on that board. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 20, authorizing the supervisor to execute a lease agreement with 1733 Ridge Road LLC.
Motion.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This resolution would authorize the execution of a lease agreement with 1733 LLC, Ridge Road LLC, the owner of the former Arundecoit Mall, for the purposes of constructing a town community center. This is a vital legal instrument as we continue this progression of assessing whether or not it is feasible and practical for the town to do so. The owner of the building, Angelo Ingracia, has proposed giving the space to the town, and giving is a broad word, but really providing the opportunity for us to develop it at virtually no profit to himself. He made it clear that a lease agreement would be the suitable and preferable legal agreement. It's very difficult to kind of minimize or subdivide a portion of a building like that. Other parts of the mall, the box stores were subdivided, but this really is the common area, so doing so really would present challenges. So this was the most agreeable legal mechanism to allow us to proceed. Again, signing the lease does not bind us to the project. We still have to conduct our due diligence, which we've already done plenty on, to determine if we want to move forward with this major decision. And certainly we reserve the right to walk away at any time before we really swing a hammer to construct the community center. Our conversations with the owner have really reinforced his original offer to provide the space at very agreeable terms to the town. There is no base rent. Actually, it's a $1 base rent, annual rent in the lease, which is we're very grateful for and gives us the financial flexibility to move forward. We would still, of course, be responsible for capital costs incurred through construction, and that's a decision that the board would have to make as we continue to determine a scope and budget. Signing this lease allows us to take the next steps and to determining if it is feasible to do so in constructing a community center. We've already conducted extensive public engagement earlier this year, as well as had the benefit of a consultant's report, which determined the market for such an amenity, as well as the feasibility of the town operating such a facility. So here we are, we now take the next step to understand the exact or estimate cost of constructing this space, which is really an interesting, it's a square peg in a round hole, because you're constructing a community center in a former common area of a mall. We need to make sure that we're doing things in concert with the owner. We always wish to protect the town's interest, especially if we are committing costs, which is why I think having a lease agreement in place is a good thing, because it is very clear terms that defines this relationship moving forward. So in the coming months, we hope to have a final schematic design that will really allow us to nail down a cost estimate based on the program that was developed through the public engagement process. The board would then elect whether or not we feel it's appropriate to put forth to the residents of the town a proposal for referendum. I certainly want to call a referendum, I believe, for a decision this major, which hopefully will occur in the spring. But first things first, we're signing the lease agreement. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 21, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a memorandum of understanding.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. As I said in the beginning, the town's community choice aggregation program empowers us to determine the source of electricity for residents and small businesses. It can reflect local priorities, which are not limited to 100% green renewable energy. We adopted a law in the summer allowing us to have this program. Shortly thereafter, we determined that other towns were interested and had similar priorities, and in doing so, we began a conversation to do a consolidated or joint procurement effort of a potential CCA administrator. This memorandum of understanding, which will be executed by the town of Pittsford, the town of Brighton, and the village of Pittsford, would aggregate approximately 50,000 homes to put out really an economy of scale, which hopefully will allow us to give a predictable, lower cost bid on electricity for the residents of those four municipalities. As my town attorney has noted, this is not binding. It allows us to determine if it's not in the best interest of the town to simply walk away at any point, but I think this is both a good legal and symbolic step of our community's willingness to continue down this path and not let this opportunity pass us by. So an important step in a lengthy process. Our next step in the process will be to engage in a joint procurement effort pursuant to our town law, our town procurement policy of potential administrators, and we will continue to develop that RFP, and I will consult with the board on that effort. I want to thank Councilwoman Romeo, who has worked with me really along this whole path and provided great counsel in this effort, and really thank the other towns as well. And I think you're going to see other towns. I know Penfield's looking at this, and hopefully this becomes more status quo and a big leap that we all can take together in this region. But first things first, I'm glad that we're being a leader in the Irondequoit community. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk.
Item number
Quiet out there. Just kidding. You can clap.
Item number 22, approving the special event license for the Cupid's Cup 5K Run Walk.
Motion.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would allow the Cupid 5K run to take place on Sunday, February 10th, beginning and ending at Arundecoit High School from 8:30 to 10:30. The applicant has all appropriate insurance and requirements pursuant to town code. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. This concludes our body of work for tonight's board meeting. I will note that we have a organizational meeting to take place in 2019, which is January 2nd. Ms. Vecchio is nodding, at 4 p.m. here in the Broderick Meeting Room. A lot of those resolutions, the bulk of those resolutions are just annual resolutions we have to pass to really organize government pursuant to state law. On behalf of the board, I just want to wish everyone a very happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing everyone in 2019. Be safe. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There's 4 members in aye, 0 opposed. Meeting is adjourned.